The Orange Sports Network. I'm coming at you live from my living room because there's a bunch of couches in the studio right now and I can't use it. So coming at you from my phone. Hope everything sounds and looks good. Boys, how was your weekend?
Not too bad, as a student, last one before our last semester here.
Yes.
And I was had a busy last week, so I was kind of milking my off time this weekend and had a nice Sunday, better than the
Yeah.
Saturday. What about you?
We filmed some content today, you and I did.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jarek, how was your weekend?
It was good. I just worked. Had today off, so it was nice and chill. Hung out with the boy and the fiance, so it was good, nice and relaxing, and ready to talk the world of sports.
Wait, you had a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This number 6.
I'm gonna bring that up every show. We're just gonna keep introducing new kids for Jarek. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with probably the biggest story in sports right now. Klay Thompson returning from how long was it, Brandon? 964 days away from the NBA. He tore his ACL in his left leg and then tore it again in his right leg or something like that. So he returned tonight to a pretty loud ovation to start the game. And you could tell he was quite emotional coming out, running through the players, high-fiving everybody when the announcer announced him into the game. So, Brandon, you're our basketball guy. How big of an impact is this return for the Warriors and the rest of the NBA?
It's huge. This is a huge calendar game for a basketball fan. At the global level, Klay Thompson returning after you said, 2 years of absence, tragically, really. So, seeing tonight, watching it live, he came out hot. He's hit a 3 recently. He hit a nice first shot, first game back, floater. And, for the impact of the Warriors, it's huge. It's going to take him a while to get up to speed. He's actually, they're talking tonight and for the foreseeable future, his load management is 4 separate 4 to 5 minute segments throughout the game, which happen in each quarter. So that, it kind of restricts him at the moment, even though his efficiency is high. It is, it's the smart decision, obviously, from Steve Kerr and the Warriors. You can't rush this back. You have to get him into a rhythm more so with his body than his skill, because he's a natural shooter, skill basketball player, defender. It's just a matter of him bouncing off the floor, making contact. And the Warriors have a great team this year, and it's only interesting to see when they get James Wiseman back that they'll have their full squad. And Klay Thompson right now that they'll get past the Cleveland Cavaliers. So with the Utah Jazz kind of falling back behind, it looks like the Warriors are getting ahead in the Western Conference too.
Jarek, what about you?
No, I think it's just exciting for the league in general. It's never a good thing when one of your top stars is not playing in any sport. It's like I said, it's good to see him back. He's a great player. You never want to see that those kind of players miss time. But yeah, like I don't know. It's one of those things where you hope for the best, but at the same time you don't want to see him re-injure himself again. So like Brandon said, it is good that they're going the load management route. But I almost want to ask Brandon a question. Do you think that it almost hinders his return in a sense with the load management? Like in a sense where he's not going to get back to the speed of the NBA game as quick as possible, maybe?
Right. That's a good question. There's always the potential for a player naturally who gains their rhythm in a prolonged fashion. Like, it takes some more minutes throughout the game. There's a lot of players that, and this goes across all sports. It like takes you, the first 5 to 10 minutes just to get in touch with your game, and then the last, more so are actual you count those minutes. So I guess for a professional like Klay, it's like if you only have so many attempts, in basketball, 4 to 5 minutes seems like a lot of time, but you're not, if you only get 2 touches within, those those 8 touches a game, 8 shots, 8 field goals, it's not as many as you'd like. Obviously, they're never going to say that publicly to the media. They're always team first. It's a sacrifice not only Klay Thompson is making, but the team has to make. They both have to do this because it's too scary. I'm sure they tried something similar last time he returned in the summer before he got pre-injured in preseason. So the Warriors are notorious, including Kevin Durant and this injury, with some pretty lackluster physio management injury protocol. They've sent out players who were doubtful to play and then they got injured, so they really don't want to do this one wrong. And there was a funny stat I heard that Klay Thompson has made roughly in his NBA career $79 million before his injury up until that point, and until today from the injury he's made over $85 million. So
Wow.
It's kind of interesting to know that he's that valuable to the franchise when he hasn't even been on the floor. To note that 20 minutes for a couple weeks even is something that they're just going to have to be a pill to swallow.
Is his return being I don't want to use the word overhyped because it is something that is very impressive and obviously important to the NBA and Warriors. But I'm seeing a tweet here from @Knicks_tape99. They treating Klay like he did a tour in Iraq. It's just basketball. Is the level of his hype like really overblown here, or is it actually that exciting?
Fair. I don't think that's fair at all. I mean, to compare it to that level of things, it's no athlete's going to match that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like at the same time, this is probably thousands and thousands and thousands of people's favorite player, and
100%.
It's exciting. It's exciting to see any player come back to the sport they love and the sport that they're really talented at. And I don't know. I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I don't agree with it that much. I don't think you can compare the two. I think he was.
I'm surprised that's the one you choose out of everything you could have seen on Twitter.
It's the one that's getting the most reaction. That's why I brought it up.
You think it's getting the most reaction because it's dumb?
Reaction on the
probably.
So I would say production side, TNT, Warner Cable, whatever that is, NBA. They said that they were liking it. Steve Kerr said that he likened it to when Michael Jordan came back from basketball. So, I mean, from baseball.
What about this one from Shamstrania? Warriors say Draymond Green will be on the court for the opening tip versus Cavaliers to honor Klay Thompson, but will not participate in the remainder of the game. Is that?
Yeah, this was
interesting. Is that too much?
Watched the beginning of the game because they what?
Is that too much to start a player who's not even going to play to honor a guy coming back?
It's kind of cheesy.
Well, so the logic behind that was when Klay Thompson got injured, he managed to come back out and shoot his 2 free throws, and Draymond Green said that if he can do that, he can play for 2 seconds while his teammate returns from injury, while he has like a bruised or bummed knee. So he had a bad knee. The play. The ball got tipped, and like within 5 seconds, he fouled the first guy, and then he jogged off, and he hasn't been on since. So that's
like I respect it. Like I respect it, but I mean, Klay Thompson. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but Klay Thompson technically he had to take those free throws, correct?
He only had to take those free throws if he thought he could return to the game, which he never did.
Yeah, so if he hadn't taken those free throws, he wouldn't have been eligible to return.
So it's just for
pride. I get that, but I don't know. I think it's just completely different than
not
starting
have to
the game.
If he physically couldn't have came back out, they could have delegated anyone else on the floor to take one shot.
Right. Well, let's move on here. I think we've beaten this horse a lot. Let's move on to Brandon. You have some. You've never heard that saying? Beating the horse.
Beating the horse.
Beating the horse. Brendan, you got a couple other basketball stories you want to touch on here.
My name is Brandon, not Brendan. You said
B-Dog.
A few stories. One that was interesting today with a similar transaction history, if you will, between teams, with Jeremiah Grant from the Denver Nuggets a year ago going to the Detroit Pistons. We now also have Bol from the Denver Nuggets going to the Detroit Pistons for a player in return, and I'll pull up the details right here. Bol, I think it's his third year in the league now, has been here are the details. Bol for Rodney Magruder, as well as a second round pick. So a player that's been pushed into the shadows of an all-star team, an all-star player, Jokic, now Aaron Gordon, and a few other guys that are more veteran players, worth more money. And now Bol, very young, inexperienced, and having not have dipped his toes in the water as much as I'm sure he'd like, is finally getting an opportunity, in the worst place team in the league, which isn't also, is a positive and a negative, right? For the reasons that he'll hopefully get a lot of time to develop his talent, because he's a freak of nature. He's one of the most tall and longest players in the league. With a great set of skill, can defend and dunk without jumping. So I'm excited. I have his rookie card, so I need to see him do well, because it hasn't been, the stock's been very low as of recently.
So I did a little bit of research on this guy. I didn't know too much about him, to be honest, but you brought it up, so I figured I'd better know who he is. And it seems like he's a player who's he's shown flashes of promise with his team, but the Nuggets have such a deep front court that they weren't able to get him consistent minutes to show what he can really do. And now that he's going to the Pistons, who are kind of a younger team, he's going to be getting more minutes. I think he's only averaged 5.8 minutes in 14 games for Denver this year. So he's going to get a little bit more chance in Detroit, which I think is something that he wants as a younger guy, especially since he's going into restricted free agency this summer. This will be good for the Pistons to get a look at him, and for him to show the Pistons what he can do. So I think it's a good move for him and the Pistons as well.
I'm sure Jarek likes this move.
No, I do.
No, he hates it.
No, yeah, just absolutely hate it. No, I like it. You've said it before. He's shown that glimpse of this guy really has something, and you want to see more of it. But again, the depth in Denver has kind of put a stall on that year in and year out. But when it comes to the summer league and everything, he usually puts on a good show. So a last place team in Detroit, he might get a chance. Hopefully he gets a chance, and hopefully he puts on a great showing, and hopefully the Pistons can kind of find magic in something, considering their first overall pick doesn't necessarily look the greatest this year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's getting a lot better. He had a very slow start. He has actually raced right back up the rookie ladders in points, minutes played, and assists. I should probably send you guys those stats. But Cade Cunningham is on the rise. He, out of most of the Detroit Pistons' recent first picks, they've had high picks, has developed the fastest. So I could see a lot more of other picks, previous first-round picks, early picks from the Pistons on the way out shortly, to get a couple more role players in there, because now guys like Jeremiah Grant, Bol, and Cade Cunningham could be some key foundation pieces for you moving forward, and you don't have to stockpile so many young players, because that does run you a couple ways wrong. But speaking of development gone right, we can shift right over to the Toronto Raptors, where first-time All-Star in the making, Freddie VanVleet, coming off a Friday night
what a
game.
story right now.
37, 10, and 10 the other night, and today 32, 4, and 4, on an absolute tear, taking the Raptors just below the 6th seed for the play-in spot, do not have to be in there, and they are on an absolute tear coming into 2022.
7 in a row, right? 7 or 8 in a row right now.
6 or 7 in a row.
6, yeah, they've won 6. Sorry.
Pascal Siakam coming with 29, 10, and 7 today. It just seems like if this is the way it's supposed to be, it could be a rude awakening for the rest of the Eastern Conference and the NBA, especially with trade deadline approaching, as we see how the rest of the NBA wants to make moves, and especially teams around the Toronto Raptors seeding. So, how do you guys feel about our Raptors moving forward now?
It's
Well,
exciting.
sorry, I just take a look at the teams around them. Like I look at the Cavs, who they're only a game behind now, who they're 5-5 in their last 10. The Hornets, who are half a game
The
behind them.
Cavaliers have just lost today.
This is
right now.
updated. Hornets 5-5, who are half a game back. The Wizards, who are a game and a half back, 5-5 in their last 10, and then the Celtics, who sit in 10th, 2.5 games back, or 4-6 in their last 10. So the Raptors are shining when they need to shine, and they're going to keep climbing up these standings. I think they can sneak into this 6th spot here and overtake the Cavs. Do they have enough to take out Philadelphia? I'm not sure. But it's definitely exciting that they're now in contention for playoff spot, not just a play-in spot, but an actual playoff spot, which I know you've been saying they're going to do that for a while now, Brandon. But sorry, I cut you off there, Jarek. Please continue.
No, I just think that the team really does seem like, correct me if I'm wrong here, I know I keep using that term there, but I don't know, this team feels like they're one star away from kind of getting back up into that championship contender type of team. It just, is it Ben Simmons? Is it another star in this league that they make a trade for and they skyrocket right back up to the top of the Eastern Conference? I don't know.
Does Masai make a move?
No, I don't think it's that year to make the decision. Scotty Barnes is going to be one of the best players in Raptors franchise history. Not only that, but amongst this draft class and the NBA for the next 5 to 10 years, if he stays healthy and with the Raptors, there's no record I don't see him breaking. And more importantly, there's drawn comparisons to Giannis, but with a little bit more finesse. This guy just needs to break out of his comfort zone a little bit more because you don't want to rush this, and there's no way you're getting Ben Simmons without giving up half the house. So I don't want to see the Raptors taken down right now, as they have one of the best foundations across the league. One of the deepest lineups, at least through the 6. And, a team I don't see making many moves when it comes to trade deadline time. So,
I hate to do this, but I actually want to disagree with you there. I know you're the basketball guy, but I think Masai's kind of proven that he doesn't necessarily have to give up what everyone thinks you have to give up for a certain superstar. For example, Kawhi. I don't think anybody expected us to give up DeRozan for Kawhi straight up. Obviously, there was a couple other things in the trade, but I feel like people thought that the trade for Kawhi was going to be worth a lot more than it actually was. And I think Masai kind of has that history of making good trades.
Let's just clarify that DeMar DeRozan leads the Raptors in total minutes played, points per game in Raptors franchise history, and even at the time of when that happened as well.
No, but even still, though, I don't think anybody.
And they also gave up Jakob Poeltl, who is now a potential All-Star best player for the San Antonio Spurs. Draft class with Pascal Siakam, 10th pick.
I think what Jarek's trying to say here is Masai's not afraid to make the move that other people don't think he would make. It was a risk to take Kawhi because he'd only played 9 games the previous year. We had no idea what his injury status was, or if he would even want to play in Toronto.
That's very situational because we don't.
But it showed that Masai has balls and isn't afraid to pull the trigger.
And we can talk about all these good things that
the asking price that the Philadelphia 76ers general manager is asking for right now, and that is the single reason. Ben Simmons not coming back right now, that he hasn't been moved, because no matter what you throw at him, and there have been rumors and certified trade speculations of what he's asked for from the Raptors included for these type of trade situations, and it has been as if you thought it was Michael Jordan, because what he's asking back was almost for the whole Raptors starting lineup. And I believe you're right. I never said that Masai wouldn't make the move. I'm just saying this year specifically, I don't see that happening necessarily. He would lose his I don't even know, like,
credibility.
His credibility if he was to go out there and get Ben Simmons, who hasn't played a single game of competitive basketball, shying away you could say, from the court for unnecessary reasons right now to a Toronto Raptors franchise where, things are only on the come up, and you're going to give away someone's best player, favorite player, who's going to lose a fan to the Toronto Raptors. For someone who we beat for our very first championship title, who we hated, I don't think that he could make a trade move next year for someone big, nor did I see it this year happening, or for Ben Simmons.
No, I agree. I agree 100% with you. Like, I'm definitely not disagreeing in that sense of things, but in some sense, the dam eventually has to break with Ben Simmons, and it might be an asking price that's huge now. It might be an asking price that was huge
I hope
3
it's
months
with
ago.
Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers.
No, hey, I would like to see that too, because that would be good for Dame. But as a Raptors fan, I guess you could say, because I'm definitely not the hardest basketball fan, but like if I'm going to throw a basketball game off, it's definitely going to be the Raptors. But I don't know. Eventually, the trade has to go down. Ben Simmons eventually has to come back to basketball. When you say that he's been away from the game for what, over a year now, it wasn't like, I know it's different, but wasn't Kawhi away from the game for a year too with an injury? I know I get again a different situation, but again, you're trading for a guy that hasn't played basketball, and it just, all these things you were saying just reminded me of the time we traded for Kawhi.
You bring an interesting side to the story.
And
it definitely has a Masai move written all over it, for sure.
I agree. And what you said before is all these great things about DeMar. Don't get me wrong. I hated when we traded DeMar, but even to this day, with DeMar DeRozan lighting the league up, as Brandon, I know you would agree with this, you're picking Kawhi Leonard 10 times over.
Yeah.
In that year, yeah.
In any year.
Yeah, 100%. No, it was the right trade to make. All right, you got any more basketball, or should we move on?
That was enough for me.
All right, so we're going to move over to hockey here. Just a quick little shout out for a couple of these stories. First off, and most importantly, this was actually a pretty cool partnership. Budweiser and the Hockey Diversity Alliance have teamed up. They released a commercial that was actually kind of unique and one of a kind, where they kind of used uncensored things that have been said to hockey players, part of the HDA, and you should definitely check that out. We'll include the link down below. It aired just before Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday in Canada. And I think the TNT stream had it too, or whoever had that game. So it was seen by quite a few people, and they're trying to just get hockey to be a more accepting place for everyone. And they have, I want to make sure I get the hashtag here right, but they released a roll of tape with hashtag tape out hate on it. The tape, Brandon and I think we're both pretty avid about how a hockey stick looks with the tape, and we like tape that's clean and looks good and you're able to play with. And sometimes when you get organizations releasing tape like this, it sometimes doesn't look too good, but this looks really good and the message behind it's phenomenal. Check out their website to buy that tape, and it's available in Canadian Tire on January 20th, with some of the proceeds going towards the Hockey Diversity Alliance, who Brandon and I know quite a bit about because we did a project on them for school. So
yeah,
shout out
Brandon. Shout out Brandon and Josh, because apparently I've never taped a hockey stick.
Have you never taped a hockey stick, Jarek?
No, I have.
We were talking about it. How do you like your hockey sticks taped?
What is it? Was it toe to heel?
Yeah, I do toe to heel.
A little bit of candy cane style, Phil Kessel.
All right, that's too much. Are you? I used to be toe to heel. I'm heel to toe now.
You grew up, eh?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Mark Bergevin. No.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to add a point though. I know it's great with the hockey tape and the Diversity Alliance, but it's kind of hysterical that we're going in from, we're trying to change hockey back into the kind of the old boys club with Mark Bergevin finding another job in the NHL. It's kind of hysterical.
Yeah. Mark Bergevin signs with the LA Lakers, LA Kings as a senior advisor to the general manager. Senior advisor to the general manager, and this had a bunch of people saying, "Oh, what's going to happen with Rob Blake? Is he on his way out?" Well, breaking 17 minutes ago, Rob Blake has signed a 4-year extension to stay as the general manager of the LA Kings. So it really does seem like Mark Bergevin's coming in to sort of do a Brendan Shanahan type job, to kind of oversee all the moves the GM makes, and yeah, he signed that. He didn't sign that Philip Deneau contract, but now he has to deal with that ridiculous Philip Deneau contract. So, Jarek, what do you think about Mark Bergevin and Rob Blake kind of partnering up here to turn this LA Kings team around?
I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of it's odd that Mark Bergevin, with all the Bergevin, whatever his name is with all the questionable moves he's made over the last few years, is finding a job that quick. It does kind of seem like he just kind of wanted to escape the drama of Montreal to kind of move into a, I don't want to say a low key market in LA, but because it is kind of a.
It is. If you're a hockey player there, you can walk down the street and people have no idea who you are.
But I'm talking more in the sense of like when it comes to hockey news, it's a team that people like to talk about. So it's still a team that's going to be in the media coverage and going to be a top tier team, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's just odd that with all the talk of change in hockey, that already so quickly a guy like Mark Bergevin, with all the questionable moves he's made with the Logan Mailloux stuff, and just basically like the talking to Tony DeAngelo during free agency, just all these questionable moves, he's already found a job in the NHL. It just kind of proves to you that the old boys mentality is alive and well in that league.
There seems to be a merry-go-round of the same 35 guys getting the same job. So I thought the Kings would.
Let's be honest. It's the same 35 white guys.
Yeah, it is. I thought the Kings would get a little bit more creative with this, but they didn't. Which is kind of disappointing because they're such a young, upcoming team that I thought they would have tried to bring in a young, a younger, guy or girl with some different ideas, but they're just going to go with Mark Bergevin, who's, likes to pin it all on his goaltender. So good luck, Jonathan Quick.
I don't like saying this, but shout out Montreal for their. I know, Josh, you probably have more information on this, but their recent hire, it was the first women president, I want to say, or whatever her position is now with the Montreal Canadiens. But shout out Montreal for that hire. It's good to see that change in hockey.
Yeah, that was actually really, really surprising to see. We did have the Habs, and they still haven't hired a GM, but they have 3 women on their potential list of GM candidates. So it does look like they are trying to get change of culture in Montreal, and Jeff Gordon is going to lead that. I'm tripping over my own tongue tonight. So yeah, Montreal's looking to make the changes there. What do we have next here? Evander Kane. We might as well go from shitty person to shitty person here. He has had his contract terminated by the San Jose Sharks because he broke COVID protocol in the AHL. Again, he flew on a plane to Vancouver while positive with COVID.
So can I interject real quick to update you guys on something? Do you remember Antonio Brown the night before he went off in the New York Jets game a week ago? He had a model over who was notorious for licking toilet seats and of retracting COVID. And
no, I did not know this.
One of her one of his things was for her to come over and sneak. They snuck her behind Tampa Bay Buccaneers COVID protocol. Apparently, there was a group of 6 that smuggled her in between them and hustled her up the elevator. And he had to tell her to leave because he had a meeting with Tom Brady in the morning. And that was all against COVID protocol. And there's a video of this girl licking a plain toilet seat. So shout out to breaking COVID
what?
COVID.
COVID protocol. I had not heard that, but I'm glad you brought that to my attention because that's absolutely hilarious.
I'm actually better off not hearing that.
Yeah. That might not make the final cut. Just because I don't want to hear it while editing. Oh man, if that's that whole Antonio Brown thing is kind of wild. But Evander Kane too, man. He's in so much shit with so many different people. And flying on a plane while you're positive for COVID is one of the things you just absolutely cannot do in this world right now. The NHLPA has said that they're going to file a grievance against this contract termination. They would be lucky if the NHL undoes this termination because my buddy brought up a good point. It's actually illegal to knowingly fly while you have COVID. So not only did he break COVID protocol, he broke the law. So he might be in a lot more trouble than losing his contract. Where, fun fact, he was actually making a lot more money in the AHL than he would have done if he was in the NHL because he didn't have to pay escrow. So he was making 15% more in the AHL than he would have done in the NHL, and he needed that money to pay back the casinos that he owed. And he was bankrupt and he owed a bunch of money. So now this guy just has no income. Yeah, he's really, really screwed himself over here. So I hope he can get help because it sounds like he needs it. But I think we're done here with him in the NHL. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but that's kind of where I stand.
No, I agree. I don't really think there's much to add to that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I didn't know he flew with COVID.
Like, it's so unbelievable, eh?
That's
Like,
tough.
yeah, that
Anyway,
is
that's
tough.
good. We'll just leave that where that is. That's not very discussable.
Yeah. Jarek, Leafs blew a 4-1 lead against the Colorado Avalanche. How was Kessel's first heartbreak as a Leafs fan?
I didn't let him watch it.
Okay.
Once it was 4-4, we put him in the bedroom, put him to bed for the night. It's ugly. I'll be positive. I know I seem to be this Leafs fan a lot, where I kind of try to put a positive spin on literally everything they do. But it's the first time this year that's happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know again, but it's the first time that's happened this year. Their defense looked at least solid for the first half of the game. Obviously, there was 3 mistakes that were glaring. Campbell looked amazing during the whole game.
Dude, he had 2 save of the year candidates in that game.
Easily. And that one diving save where Naz was just shocked.
Yeah.
It sucks that we lost. I mean, we got a point against a team like Colorado. And it is funny that we lose a game like this 5-4 against Colorado, and everyone seems to forget that we beat them 8-3 earlier in the season.
Well, when it was 3-0 in the first, I thought that was the direction we were heading.
Yeah, but hey, Colorado's good.
Yeah, they are. They're a good hockey team.
That's a team that's going to come back when it's 4-1, and you can't let them sleep. But I'm going to take some positives out of it. If that's a 7-game series and at least play that way for 7 games, I think they easily take that series easily.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Brendan, you watched the game. I know you did. Is Austin Matthews a better hockey player without Mitch Marner because he has to generate his own offense? Because that's the impression I got. He was buzzing against Colorado, and he didn't have to rely on anybody else to get him the puck. He went and got the puck for himself and put it in the net by himself. Is he better off kind of being separated from Marner, or do those two make each other better?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say,
I know, it's a phenomenal.
It's obvious that Austin Matthews is there for scoring goals, and you would necessarily outweigh his goal scoring for his playmaking, and for him to obviously want to enhance his ability when Mitch Marner is gone somehow to create those chances for himself is the same thing as LeBron James recently playing center because his team doesn't have anyone else to fill that position. So it's good for now. Anthony Davis is healing. Mitch Marner is healing. However, when you come back, it's not a toll that's progressionable on your body. And it's something that I don't think it's very enduring. It's good. It's a flash. It's a flash of why he's an all-star. It's a flash of why LeBron James is the best of all time. I think that there's games goal scorers need to rely on their playmakers, and they're having a bad game, and sometimes they're in the right place at the right time. And I promise you, it's a lot more grueling on the body to do the type of creating your own playmaking as it does for Austin Matthews. And he's very strong and one of the bigger players in the league as well. But he personally would probably get more goals by just flowing to his positions, and he has the guys are there to paid. They're told to go into the dirty areas for him. So I think that it's a good sign. obviously, and now we hope that we can see that come out when it matters the most.
Yeah,
And
for
that's
sure. I thought.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Chip. Go ahead.
That's something I kind of want to add into what Brandon said. Is I know you kind of want to rely on your playmakers, and you kind of have to rely on your playmakers, but it seems to me watching basically, I would say 90 to 95% of the games since the playoffs last year, it does seem to me that Matthews can't rely on Marner right now.
No, he can't.
It does seem that even when Marner's in the lineup and playing with Matthews still has to go into the corner, still go into those areas that Marner should. I know Marner's not the gritty guy, but Marner is a player that can go into the corners and grab the puck and get the puck and dish it off to his teammates. And it just, since that playoff series against Montreal, it seems like his confidence is shot. And it seems that Matthews doesn't and can't have confidence right now that he does in a Kerfoot or a Bunting. And everyone's kind of always complained that Matthews hasn't played with the top caliber talent on the teams he's played with or on. But if you go back, the guy scored 40 goals playing with Hyman and Brown. He scored another 47 playing with Hyman and Nylander, or Hyman and Matthews, or sorry, Hyman and Marner. So he's doing it with everybody, but at the same time, this year it seems like he just can't rely on Marner to be that playmaker for him.
He has to play. If you want him to score 50 in 60, stick him with William Nylander. Willie finds him no matter where he is on the ice. There was a couple plays last night. Nylander would come in, fake the shot, open up to his edges, and then just throw the puck out of camera frame. I'd be like, what the hell was that? And there comes Matthews creeping into the hash mark slot. I'm like, oh, my dude. Like, even the cameraman couldn't predict that pass, and he's trained in that type of thing. That's how good Nylander was at finding Matthews. So I would go Nylander, Bunting, Matthews for the next little while. Put Marner down with Mikheyev, who was kind of heated up a little bit here, and John Tavares. I think that's a nice pairing for Marner to be playing with. Get his confidence back up, and then hey, maybe you can sneak him back up there and drop Nylander back down. But I think
I want to see Kerfoot
try it.
I love that one.
Do that too. One last question before we move on to the some fun stories here. 2 back-to-back 10 p.m. games this week. Will you guys be watching?
Hell yeah.
I love a 10 p.m. game.
You get AEW from 8 to 10, and you get a 10 o'clock game. And hey, maybe we can do a post-game live or whatever.
It will probably be you and I. Brandon doesn't like late nights.
Love late nights.
All right. We'll do something. We'll be sure to deliver great analysis of the game.
Content.
Detroit Lions, worst team in the NFL all season. Can't even lose correctly. All they had to do today was lose to guarantee the first overall pick. Well, they won. And now they're going to pick second in the NFL draft. So that just goes to show that they cannot do anything right. And I just thought that was really funny and I should point it out. But that leads into my question here. Today we had the first ever NFL Week 18. What that means is it was an extra week of football. Each team had to play one extra game. Instead of 16, they played 17. And a couple of records were on the line today, NFL regular season records. If they had been broken today, all the players playing would have been allowed one more game to break that record. Now, would you guys consider that to be an NFL record or an NFL record with an asterisk?
I would consider it an NFL record. Like,
okay,
you play the games that you're told to play, and when it's considered a regular season game, it's still a regular game. It counts. So if it's part of the regular season, I don't care if there's 25 games, 30 games, 7 games. I think they're used to only be 16. Maybe 15, 14 games. So, it's all the same. We talked about the Dolphins' perfect season years and years back, and I don't think it was a full season what it was now. So,
Brandon, what do you think?
They have said that they'll keep it. Like, this rule is to stay, right?
They want. They might add another week. The reason behind this is now more teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's obviously extended on Jarek's point. It's also where the league's going too. So
yeah,
history is always in the past, and history has to be made. And with an 18-week schedule, new history will be made. And then obviously with a 19-week schedule, there will be new history made, and that will soon be long forgotten. And records will be great if you were there when they happened, and those are why they are special to people than they are more special to other people. So if it's your team and your favorite player and your era when you were growing up, that's all that matters. When at the end of the day, myself and Jarek are not the rule makers in the NFL, and we're also not the players, and we can't control how well we do. So those records are unfortunately, like Austin Matthews, there's no asterisks, no matter the amount of games.
Yeah, you got to do what's put in front of you. These players were given 17 games to do a job this year, and that's what they're going to do in those 17 games. You can't say, okay, you're going to play 17 games, but we're only going to count 16 of them towards your personal stats. So if the NFL wanted 17 games, that's the NFL regular season. That if you break a record in that, you broke an NFL regular season record. I'm glad we all fall on the same side of this, because I've seen a lot of people say, well, it doesn't count. They didn't do it in 16 games. Go fuck yourself. Like, seriously, understand
what's
what's going on.
Is actually sorry, Jarek, I heard you were about to say something.
Yeah,
some of those records and all records weren't necessarily done in all those 16 games, right? Like, I'm sure some of the greatest guys were injured for a game, and they could have done those great records in 15 games. So
Exactly.
It's very situational, and at the end of the day, an 18-week player could still only play 12 games and set a record. So
no, yeah, I agree, and I feel like too is if there's a record that was set in a season that was only 12 games, and that record stays at the top for years and years, and let's say 35 years goes by and they've added 15 games to the season, I think it just makes that record 10 times more important and 10 times more meaningful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, glad we all fall on the same side here. Brandon, you're going to wrap us up here with your are we calling it sign trade wave or sign trade bench? What are we doing here? Explain it to us.
You guys have one, right?
We're waiting for you to explain it to us, buddy. Yes.
Yeah, so all of us, starting now, we'll be coming to the episode with a sign. Man. So here, we gotta have this discussion because Jarek brought up the point. Do we bench or do we waive this player?
Let's bench. You got to control all three. Let's bench.
Yeah. So we'll do a sign waive bench segment where
sign trade bench.
Sign bench trade segment where every episode we're going to come individually with one scenario each. Now the scenario will be a random time period, genre, or sport professionally, including wrestling and MMA or whatever, where you put up three very similar like players, individuals, and make a good argument for who you should. They have to be pretty. They have to be very thought-provoking, because I don't want them to be very easy. Obviously, I just want this to be a succeeding thing that we can do as a group, where we not only get to know more about each other, but get to let the fans know more about us. So this will really dig deep into our niche sport histories, and I think you're gonna like my first one today.
I'm glad you're kicking this off. Yeah, because I'm still a little bit confused. I think if you go first, we'll clear up the air.
So this is my sign wave trade. We're going back to 2011 and 12. You got to sign, waive, and trade these three Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh.
Tyler Bozak, Mikhail Grabovski, or Joffrey Lupul. Now, I will tell you that Joffrey Lupul outscored both of those guys quite substantially with 67 points, leaving Mikhail Grabovski with 51 and Tyler Bozak with 47. However, the year before that, Mikhail Grabovski went 29 goals, 29 assists, followed that up with 23 goals, 28 assists. Joffrey Lupul only had 25 goals and now Tyler Bozak had 29 assists. So very valuable players to the team. I will go at the end.
So
I'll go first.
we're all picking on everyone's 3 options.
Yeah. All right. I would sign Joffrey Lupul. I thought he's the most talented player out of all of them. Especially at that time too. He brought it every game. He was a great playmaker, great scorer. He would fit well on any line. I would trade Mikhail Grabovski because I didn't think he fit well with that 2011 Leafs team. He always seemed to push back against Randy Carlyle, who I believe was coaching at that time, or maybe it was Ron Wilson. He went through 2 coaches, so it was either one of those two. He always seemed to push back. So I would trade him and get some return for him because he was still a decent player, but I don't think he was a great locker room guy. And then I would bench Tyler Bozak because he was still kind of young at the time and learning, and he could probably learn a thing or two watching my star player, Joffrey Lupul.
Oh yeah, I would definitely I'm kind of on the same lines. I'm definitely gonna sign Joffrey Lupul just because he's kind of the goal scorer out of all of it. I'm gonna actually trade Tyler Bozak because I don't know if you guys remember, but during that kind of his first free agency period, right before, or I think it was right after this period, there was actually quite a bit of interest on him just because of the kind of the center he was becoming. So I would trade him just because I feel like you could get probably the most out of the 3 of them. And then I'm actually going to bench Mikhail Grabovski because I feel like he's one of those players that was kind of overpaid because he was playing on a team that wasn't necessarily top tier, and he was putting up 50 to 60 points a season. So I feel like the potential was there with him, but he was just, again, kind of with coaching issues and being the player that was paid high but not really played high, I guess. Paid high but not played high. And but yeah, so that would be kind of my answers there for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go right out the bat. I'm starting playing Mikhail Grabovski. I think not only does he bring excitement and energy to the arena as he did as a young player with Maple Leafs, he's a very speedy scoring skill maker and a natural goal scorer. More on top of that, very consistent with his goal scoring numbers. I'm trading Joffrey Lupul for the potential he has at the time, knowing his immediate downfall coming soon in his career. I'll milk whatever he's worth, and I'll sit Tyler Bozak for now. So I'm interested to hear what else you guys have to say because it's original to yourself, and I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did. I got mine ready if you want me to go, Jarek.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so my scenario is I'm a hockey team. I got the option to sign anybody I want, and I'm looking for an offensive player who's fantastic in their own zone. So I take a look at the list of the last 3 Selke Trophy winners, and I see that I either have to sign, bench, or trade Barkov or Alexander Barkov, John Cordier, or Ryan O'Reilly. And those are your 3 options.
Who's the second option?
Sean Couturier.
Oh, okay.
I thought you said someone else.
Yeah, me too.
No.
So, okay, can you give me the 3 options again, please?
Alexander Barkov.
Yep.
John Couturier.
Yep.
Ryan O'Reilly.
So, okay, can I go first?
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna sign Barkov just because I feel like he's the youngest out of the 3. So I feel like there's just kind of the most upside to him. So I'm going to sign him. I'm going to trade Couturier just because I feel like he's not old, but he's not young. So he's definitely a player that you could get maybe a young sniper for, maybe like a young D-man for, maybe a goalie, maybe build a team off of that. And then, yeah, I'm just going to bench Ryan O'Reilly because I feel like having him and Grabovski on my bench that's a pretty good bench depth.
I'm trading Ryan O'Reilly right off the bat. I think that most of his trade value in his career has come around the necessity of his use around the league, and that is a veteran center who can play.
That's exactly words right out of my mouth.
Who can play first line power play, penalty kill, and power play. All minutes of the game, can be a captain or assistant on your team. More importantly, just someone I personally, as this position is at this question is positions, is I don't like his play, and I wouldn't center my organization around him, but I know I could center a team around the players, what I get back from him. So I'm obviously going to start and play Alexander Barkov, as he's shown the most promise at his young age, obviously with the most upside. He is one of the best players in the league today. There is no upside to him. He can only get better from being one of the best. And I'll bench Couturier because he's very useful in a lot of situations, similar to a younger Ryan O'Reilly.
So I would trade Ryan O'Reilly for the exact same reasons Brandon said. A lot of trade value there. He's a good player. I just don't need him on my team for the reason that Alexander Barkov is one of the best centers, probably top 5 in the NHL. I would be more than happy to have him on my team. He can generate offense. He's a shutdown player in my own zone in the playoffs. I know he would be a beast. And I would bench John Couturier because I think he's fucking useless. I have no idea how he won this award now that I think about it.
That's fair.
He can sit next to who did I bench? He can sit next to Bozak, and they can both watch Alexander Barkov and Joffrey Lupul score a bunch of goals.
Very hockey-like theme today. Do we have one?
I like it.
Yeah, I got one to add here. It's another hockey one. Just kind of keep it rolling.
I like it. That's okay this week. I like that.
Yeah, maybe we just go with different themes for every week. Kind of keep it the same, but kind of go with different ideas.
Let's hear it.
So
I like the scenarios.
So my scenario here is, I guess it's not really a situation or a scenario, but it's kind of the type of player that I'm going to pick here. And as someone who's only 5'5", I'm going to kind of stick with the short players here.
Oh,
so, yeah. So we're going to do a sign, trade, or bench for, I would say, 3 of the greatest small players in the league. So the options I got here for you have Theo Fleury, Marty St. Louis, and Paul Kariya.
Oh.
Had to end with a banger.
Oh boy. Okay, so I'll go first. I'm benching. Oh fuck. I'm benching Theo Fleury right away.
Is that positive benching or a negative benching?
Negative benching. I don't think he was that good. That he's a terrible dude. So
hot take.
Sit next to Sean Couturier and Tyler Bozak. Who else? Now here's the question. I'm assuming they're in their prime.
Yeah, definitely in their prime. Like in their prime, like the best of their season.
So who was better in their prime? Paul Kariya or St. Louis?
That's an easy question.
Yeah, I'll take Paul Kariya and I'll trade St. Louis.
All right, Brandon.
Just the biggest inspiration for small hockey players I've ever heard of. And I'm a
Hi, Domi
guy, but I play with a lot of guys who this is their favorite player, and he was on one of my favorite teams at the time when they won their first ever franchise Stanley Cup. I'd be starting and playing Martin St. Louis, benching Paul Kariya because he's just as valuable to the team, and I like everything he brings to the organization, including the hype for the fans. And I miss him in the game, and we'll see what I can tug the market out of Theo Fleury because I have no idea who he really is as a hockey player. Other than the one time on the TSN, I saw him wear a fan's jersey that had 5,000 autographs written all over it.
And try to get back in the game.
Yeah.
Jared,
so
finish this.
For my own answer for my own question is I'm going to start Theo Fleury just because Theo Fleury has kind of always been one of my not favorite players, but one of my players that I kind of liked his fiery attitude, and he added a lot to the teams he was on. Obviously, later in his career is kind of just a shit show in his personal life, but I'm gonna continue with the theme of my benching not being a negative benching, but like a positive benching in the sense of these guys are the kind of the next man up role. I'm gonna add Marty St. Louis to my already pretty stacked bench, I would say. And then I'm going to trade Paul Kariya because even in Paul Kariya's prime, he was an injury-prone player with the concussions and everything. And knowing what I know with his career and kind of how it ended, and actually how it ended badly with the starting with the Scott Stevens and kind of everything with that, I would trade him just because I know that I would definitely get something back for him. But just with that whole unknown with his injuries, you got to give him up.
Okay, I like it. Brandon, did you write these down?
Yeah. Well, we also recorded it live.
Yeah, fair enough. We can always go back. So how's this going to work? So are 3 positions now filled on our fantasy team?
Yeah, we're gonna assess this project throughout the next couple of days and write this down and see if we can logistically work it out. We're gonna see if we can how many players are going to be on the team at the end of the month, and then we can come back and go sport by sport and maybe make line by line here with a couple major sport categories. So it still has a lot of thought to be taken into, but I think that the premise is there and the idea is fun. So
all right. So I don't think we should do this every show, but maybe every Sunday night this is what we do.
Mm-hmm. It'll add up to a good graphic of a team, and you guys can tell us who has the best picks at the end of the month.
Team of the month. It's still the EA Sports idea. Team of the month.
Yeah, just right out of their hands. Just fucking steal it. Screw you, EA. Come after us. We got a lawyer. Bring it on.
Don't edit that out.
Dude, EA doesn't listen to this, and if they do, you send me a PS5. I love you, EA. It's in the game. All right, boys. Have a good week. We'll see everybody Thursday because Jarek hates Wednesdays.
I love Wednesdays, but I'm not trying to record at 12:30 at night. I got a baby.
You just said let's record at 12:30 at night, like 22 minutes ago.
Live.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see everyone shortly. It's Monday tomorrow, maybe when you're listening to this. So have a good Monday.
Hey, check out our plays of the week on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
And use we lightly. Our plays of the week.
Subscribe.
Check out my plays of the week.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at OSN Orion, on Twitter at OSN Orion, on TikTok at OSN Orion. We're just the same everywhere. We're consistent. We love it.
And we love you guys. So keep listening.
Somebody fill time. I can't find the stop button.
So love you guys. Keep listening. You're the best fans ever.